You said that life is fine-tuned, but there's many examples where it's not, even on Earth, for example. There's life sort of exists in, volcanoes all the way to sort of ice and tardigrades and stuff like that. They can be sent to space for 6 months and still exist. So, I don't think it is that fine-tuned.
Okay.
Scientists, they're looking for life. They're looking for it in all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Plus, we only have one example of that, so you don't have a spectrum of information to sort of make that assertion, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it's only existed on Earth.
Yeah.
Or happened. We've only got the one sample to choose from.
Yeah.
You don't really know if it's fine-tuned.
Yeah. Yeah. You're loosely referring to the anthropic principle, but I'll address it in a different way. What I'll address you is in a simpler way, basically, right?
Could you address the question?
So the brother is saying that life, you're arguing for life fine-tuning. We don't have many examples of the number one, and this life that exists is not fine-tuned, the brother said, in some cases, because it exists in volcanoes and so on and so forth. First point we need to understand, bro, is as a human being, would you accept the fact that we don't have total wisdom of everything? Agreed. Okay. Therefore, if there is life existing in certain places that we don't understand, we just don't have the wisdom behind it. Because the one that created everything has full wisdom, not us. And that's the humble position to take, the most rational position to take. Number two, I would say life is fit for purpose. And let me explain what I mean. Fit for purpose from the perspective that as human beings, we know Allah tells us our purpose is to worship Him. Looking at that end goal, do we have all the tools that we need to try and maintain and reach that goal? Yes, it's fit for purpose. Is it perfect? According to whose criteria? A limited human being's perspective? That's not a rational position to take, right? So hopefully that makes sense, yeah? Because the point is that as human beings, we don't have totality of knowledge, we don't have the totality of wisdom, and you would agree to that, right? Understanding that, just because we don't understand the wisdom behind something doesn't mean there's no wisdom there.
So therefore we can't come to the assertion then?
No, but remember, we're talking about human life. I wasn't talking about life in volcanoes. Allah knows if there is life there, maybe there is, I'm not denying it. If there is, subhanAllah. Look, and this is about perspectives as well, bro. Depending on the way the heart stands, you see reality in a different way, right? For example, from our tradition, but from our way of life, right? What Allah's given us is this deen and the fitrah. It's very beautiful because Allah gives us the perspective, the lenses to see reality through for what it really is, right? But now if you put on a different set of lenses and you look at it from a different perspective, for example, sometimes atheists make the claim, why are there other planets out there? There's no life there. There's just a waste of space. Yeah? But subhanAllah, I look at it and I think, subhanAllah, there's so many planets out there, but the life, in our solar system at least, life only exists on the earth. Isn't that amazing? Because that shows the delicate, things that need to be in place for life to exist on this particular planet. Scientists call it the Goldilocks zone and so on and so forth. But it doesn't exist a little bit too far from the sun, too cold, a little bit too close, too hot. It's in the perfect place. So it's about perspective as well. And sometimes our perspectives are shaped based on what's going on in here. So, for example, one of my teachers, he says it this way. He says, look, the intellect is the hired lawyer of the self, the internal state, right? For example, say you're on a diet. Who's been on a diet before? Yeah? Most people won't admit it, especially if we fail at a diet, yeah? But when you're on a diet, you go 3 days, 4th day you see a hot slice of pizza on the table, what are you going to do? You want it. And then you start to justify it. And you start to reason towards it. Your intellect acts as a hired lawyer for what's going on in here, right? So this is the thing. And this is why most atheists, I've had discussions with loads of atheists over the years. When you break it down rationally, there is no rational argument that holds. It always comes down to afterwards, after breaking all of that down, but you know what, I went through a really hard time in my life. Why did it happen to me? It's always an emotional reason that's lying beneath all of this. I'm not saying in all cases, but generally speaking, that seems to be the case. So hopefully that answers your question, bro.
Can I just come back on 2 points?
Sure.
One is the Goldilocks zone, for example.
Sorry?
You mentioned the Goldilocks zone and
Yeah.
sort of fine-tuning in that respect. There's tons of planets out there that exist within that Goldilocks zone. We're talking millions, possibly billions that exist within that zone. Whether there's life on those planets. So what I'm trying to say to you is that we still don't have enough information to make the assertion that life is fine-tuned in that respect. It looks as though it is, but again, that can be explained by science as well, which is that either way, the conditions that were set out on that particular planet, whether it be covered in ice,
Yeah.
we would have more body hair, or we would have whatever else,
Yeah.
according to evolution. So if it was covered, let's say the Earth was covered in ice, and all of us lot were head to toe,
Yeah.
like mammoths, we'd say, again in that situation, we'd say, oh look, it's fine-tuned for us.
Yeah.
But it's not. And we've lost that hair because of, people claim that it's to do with science and evolution. So it gives the illusion that it's fine-tuned.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but that's not necessarily...
But you know the words you're using, illusion or fine-tuning? It's like saying this. I'm speaking to you, but you're not really a human being. You're a donkey in disguise that's looking like a human being. Now, if I were to say that to you, everyone would think I'm silly, yeah? So what I'm saying is this. Sometimes what we do, bro, is that in one aspect of our life, we're very consistent. We have common sense, our rational faculties, and we employ them. We go with what's most probable, right? For example, bro, if I told you, have you got kids? Okay. If I told you, bro, tomorrow when you do the school run, blindfold your children, blindfold yourself, and drive them to school, would you do that? No. There's a chance you'll survive. There is a chance, bro, yeah? But you won't take that chance because your common sense and your rational faculties dictate to you, no, don't be silly. What's most probable, go with that. But when it comes to God, and when it comes to design and what we see, what's most obvious and most simple to conclude, for some reason atheists, and I'm not saying you're doing that, bro, but I'm saying for some reason atheists or naturalists, their criteria for evidence just shoots up another level. It's very interesting, right? And I'm saying be consistent. If you're going to now use that criteria, there's a chance or there's a possibility, then apply it to the rest of your life, be consistent. And you don't see this, so it's very important we do this, bro. And if we're not doing that, we have to ask ourselves, why am I not doing that? Why, when it comes to God, am I going for an option which is, like for example, if I said to you, I can argue, and it's a very strong argument, that the universe, from a simple perspective, looks designed. There is design in the universe, there's order in the universe, human beings are precisely and meticulously designed. And all of this order, I believe, cannot come from blind random physical processes, dead random physical atoms, right? That's the most probable explanation. Now you can argue, well, there's a chance, and I won't disagree with you. There's probably a 0.0001% chance, whatever it may be, of that happening. But why go with the most improbable option when it comes to God and existence? But when it comes to our day-to-day life, the criteria is different. Do you see?
Can I come back on that? Sorry.
We can carry on the discussion. Let's open up to everyone else, bro. But we'll carry on off. Yeah, sure. Go on. Yeah.
The scientists want to say that it's not 1%. They say it's almost 100%.
No, I don't know what scientist you're referring to, bro.
No, because you've got the vastness of space there to deal with, you see. So you've got something that's possibly infinite. It's definitely vast. So these conditions will arise. So there's a very high chance that they will arise. Not a low.
Yeah, but it's about the principle, bro. So what we're doing is conflating two things, right? I'm saying focus on what is here, right? It's like the anthropic principle. Focus on what is actually here, and what you have, work with that, bro. You know, why are we adding possibilities which we haven't examined? And by the way, when I use science, I refer to it as supplementary or supporting knowledge, because science itself, I'm sure you're aware, it doesn't give you absolute truth. Yeah. So from that perspective, it's neither here nor there if we really think about it, especially when it comes to things beyond our observational scope. But what we do have is the aql as a human being, the intellect, right, that we can employ and that we use. What I'm saying is be consistent, right?
But they are being consistent. What I'm trying to say to you is that from their point of view, if it's 99%, it's vastly different from 0.0001%. That's a totally...
But it's not 99%. I don't know who you're referring to. Have you got any references for that?
No. What I'm trying to say to you is that if you've got the vastness of space,
yeah,
and you've got the vastness of conditions,
yeah,
then these conditions will arise at some point.
Okay,
and
let's...
That's the reason why that's why they're looking for life,
Yeah, but remember, their lenses are of a naturalistic perspective. Now, there's a philosophy in science. They have the naturalistic outlook on things. You can read any book on the philosophy of science, right? One by Samir Okasha, an introductory one, is very good by Oxford Press. What they say, look, they have a naturalistic filter. The explanations, they have already a principle in place that any explanation they come to, it has to be a naturalistic explanation for things. And that guides how they do their science, basically, right? I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing in the realm of science, but the point is, when you're looking for a naturalistic explanation, right, then you're gonna ignore all other possibilities and look for a naturalistic explanation, right? No matter how wild it may be, right? But look, let me try and engage you on another level, bro. Am I wrong in arguing that, now rationally just engage with me, bro, blind, random, non-rational, dead physical processes atoms and molecules whizzing around over millions of years can result in ordered, rational minds, but not only that are physical, but have a non-physical nature to them as well, such as consciousness. How do you explain? Does it make sense that this reality we see of the human being, just the human being, can come from dead, physical, non-rational stuff?
So, if you're talking about abiogenesis, or we're talking about the existence of...
Forget the terms, bro. Forget the terms. I'm asking you a simple question.
No, it's a very complex question.
It's a very simple question, bro. Let me put it in simple English.
It's a very, very complex question. I'll tell you why. You've got 13.8 billion years to work with here.
Yeah.
Which is, if you look at a millennia is a long time. If you look at a decade, 100 years, 100,000 years, it's a long time.
But what you're saying is there's a chance. It's not most probable. You're saying you're again arguing the chance thesis. And this is my point to you, bro. You keep arguing based on chance, the type of chance you won't apply to your day-to-day life. Do you see the problem there? There's an inconsistency in your argument.
There isn't.
Because you're saying millions and millions of years, possibly this can happen. Which it can't. For example, I mentioned to you consciousness. Now, the hard problem of consciousness within science is a big problem, even amongst atheist scientists. They don't understand the nature of consciousness. It's not material. It's not fully material.
Why don't they understand consciousness?
I can give you the references. You can check out the books yourself, right? You can argue with the scientists themselves. Let me just make the point, bro. 1 second. So the point is this. There is this element to the human being, even if through our rational faculties, we have the ability to see, insight, right? This internal seeing based on even a deductive argument, based on syllogisms, right? You have this seeing that you could do into things. This, for example, let me give you an example. Let me show you. All men die. Premise 1. All men die.
Correct.
What's your name, bro? Suhaib is a man. Conclusion, what's the conclusion? Tell me the conclusion.
Conclusion that Suhaib will die.
Okay. You know what you've just done there? This is insight. You're sitting in the masjid, you haven't gone and tested it. This is insight. As a human being, you have this. And there's a conscious element to this where you're aware of doing this, right? The hard problem of Thomas Nagel, who's an atheist, he's written a book called Mind and Cosmos. He argues this in his book fully. I would recommend you read that, bro. But the point is this, is that now you've gone from raw physical stuff in the beginning, as naturalists would posit, and atheists generally, to non-physical substances which exist within reality, which are in line or tied into the physical somehow. How do you explain for those non-physical stuff?
The reasoning, it goes over to there, and they've got answers for that, which is, to do with synapses.
But they don't. They understand the physical elements of it. For example, they can put you up onto a monitor. Bro, get this book here. Yeah? Listen, get this book. If you want, I'll send you a copy. Give me your address, yeah? He studied this on an academic level, Hamza, yeah? This was his thesis for his master's, and he used to do this in his PhD as well. The point is this, is that there is a non-physical element to consciousness, right?
That's not a fact though, is it? I mean, it's a non-conscious element. They will say
Let me explain. Let me finish explaining it to you. Bro. And this is the last point we can discuss this after. I can wire you up, or a scientist can wire you up to a monitor, yeah? And he'll give you a piece of chocolate. You put the piece of chocolate in your mouth, you taste it, and he may see changes in brain waves. And what studies are showing now that they're different each time. So there's no real correlation there. Yeah? But generally speaking, even if there is a correlation, the point is, how does it taste for you to taste that piece of chocolate? That scientist can't tell you. That first person experience that you have, they can't tell you that, right? So that element, that's what the hard problem of consciousness is based on. So my question to you is, bro, how do you go from physical stuff to non-physical stuff?
It's not non-physical at any point.
Well, you can keep arguing that, bro, but then you have to argue with your atheist scientists. Not your atheist scientist, but atheist scientists in general as well. Because the leading experts in the field are concluding or saying what I'm saying. You can read the books, I'll give you references. Anthony O'Hare, Mind and Cosmos. Samir Kasha, Beyond Evolution, very interesting one as well. Read both of those books, bro. And you'll get a very interesting view. Remember, I believe both are atheists, but I'm not sure about Anthony O'Hare, but Samir Kasha, Mind and Cosmos, that book, the author of that book, Nagel, he is an atheist.
That in these books that they do say that the physical becomes the non-physical.
No, for example, what Nagel argues throughout his whole book, and he himself, he says, we have a problem here. There are elements to the human being which are non-physical. And our naturalist... Let me just finish, bro. Let me finish, please.
Confusing me, that is.
Sorry?
I've never come across that before, where it goes physical to non-physical. So are they making those assertions?
No. This is what the studies are showing. But we'll carry on discussing, yeah? Okay, after this, inshallah. Any other questions? Anyone?